22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You were tuned into the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday, 6 to 8 on streaming live on. Yo, I got to get used to this. Yo, let me just stop. I'm so used to saying inthemix.com. So, we streaming live today. So, we streaming live ever since COVID. So, did you hear me? Did you hear me, Lorraine?
Yeah.
I'm so used to saying in the mix. Okay, so here we go again. You are tuned in to Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show, streaming live every Sunday on Facebook and YouTube. There you go. I'm AJ Woodson, your host. Damon K. Jones is not here. Dr. Bob, shout out to Dr. Bob, who will not be here. He's working on some research for a project he's working on right now. But I do have my lovely Latina co-host, Lorraine Lopez, in the place to be.
Hey, peoples.
So real quick. So I just want to say a couple of things, and we got a really packed show, so we're going to get right into it. First things first, I want to say today is the 28th. Today is the official last calendar day of what they call Black History Month. But as you know, with Black Westchester, we celebrate Black history 365 days, 24/7. The accomplishments of Black people cannot be all celebrated, all summed up into 28 days. So every day is Black History Day. Every month is Black History Month. And that's how we do. But today is the last official calendar day. We're going into March, which is traditionally known as Women's History Month, or I just say Women's Month. We're celebrating all women in the March issue of the newspaper, women that are making history now, the whole nine. So it's going to be cram-packed of as many women as we can in the pages of the issue. Couple of quick things. Shout out to I'm seeing comments. Hold on. Somebody, Facebook user, says, "How are you feeling today?" Shout out to Chief AK Cole. There's a lot of things been going on with this project that we have coming up in Mount Vernon. Some people refer to it as Library Square. It's on South 2nd Avenue. Some people just know of it as the project that will be where the former YMCA used to be. And I do want to say a couple of quick words about that for those I've heard a lot of people say they're not feeling the project because we need the we need our YMCA, and I just want to speak to that real quick. The YMCA has left Mount Vernon. The organization, the YMCA, sold the building to the city of Mount Vernon because it was not cost effective for them to run the program in Mount Vernon anymore. The YMCA has officially left the city of Mount Vernon. I've heard people say, well, they didn't want to see a project there because, we don't have we have no programs for the youth. I have left, I moved to Atlanta, around 2002, 2003. And at that point, there wasn't really any programs going on for the young people, for the youth at the time. I think the pool had to be closed at some point because there was some problems with the pool. So anyway, moving forward, former Mayor Ernie Davis buys the YMCA, put some money into it. They rehab the pool area, but the cannot rehab the entire building. It closes during the last year of his administration, stayed closed through the whole Richard Thomas administration. And earlier last year, Sean Patterson Howard, in her State of the City address, announced that they would be selling the YMCA because, the city just can't afford to rehab it and run the programs that the YMCA used to have. And now we have a Black developer who lives in the city of Mount Vernon. There's two things: a Black developer, and they live in the city of Mount Vernon, trying to put up a project. Some refer to it as Library Square. That will go there. It's going to have a lot of rental properties for all incomes, and it's going to provide a lot of services. So anyway, they're having a forum next on Friday. And I'll make sure I read the flyer out before the end of the show. So for people who want to know more about the project, because there's people who don't know about it, there's people who've been hearing misinformation about it, and the Black developers trying to do something for the city of Mount Vernon. I think it's a good thing. Well, I'm going to have Diana Williams. She's going to be on our show, the Black Westchester Power Hour, tomorrow on WVOX at 11. So you get to talk to her a little bit then. But they have a Facebook page at Library Square SQ, for Square Library SQ on Facebook. So like that page and follow all the things. I think they'll be putting all the information on that page. You can reach the developers on that page and all of that. So I just wanted to do all that real quick before the beginning of the show. We'll talk more about the Library Square project by the end, at the end of the show. Lorraine, Lopez, did you have any quick words? And if not, we're going straight into our first guest because the show is jam-packed today.
No, let's go. I'm good.
Okay, so we're going to bring in our first guest. You saw him briefly last week, Black author Derrick M. He has a new book out. It's his second book. He made way last week. Again, big shout out to my man. He was supposed to be on last week. We had a chance to do an interview with former FBI Director Frank Figliuzzi, talking about FBI and the Black Panthers and all that. And my brother graciously gave up his time slot. We did a little teaser last week, and we got him back this week to talk about his books, to talk about his other businesses, talk about, a couple other things. So with that said, welcome to the show, my brother Derrick Guest. How are you, sir?
I'm blessed, brother. Thank you for having me back. I appreciate you bringing me back and allowing me to speak to the folks.
No doubt. So we're going right into it. Like I said, we got a jam-packed show.
Yeah.
I know you were on last week. Last week was just a teaser. Start out, you got a current book out. What's the name of it? What's the book about?
The current book I have out right now is Opportunity Knock Next Door, My American Dream, Becoming a Successful Man. And it's about my life growing up in the South Bronx as a youth during the
South
80s.
Bronx.
Yes.
South Bronx. I'm sorry.
Bronx keeps creating it, right?
Yeah, you know, every time everybody
He
knows when somebody says South
always
Bronx,
does
I
it.
sing the song. I gotta sing the song real quick. I can't
That's
help
right.
it. But go
That's
ahead.
right. Brooklyn keeps on taking it. Bronx keeps creating it. Don't
Yep.
get me started.
Queens keeps on faking it. Yeah. No, go ahead.
So yeah, so it's about me growing up in the South Bronx as a youth, between the time of the 80s, 83, all the way up to the 90s, mid 90s. I talk about, you know, the time period in the 70s when I was first born in 73. You know, Ronald Reagan called the South Bronx, compared it to the London Blitz, right? You have pictures, that historic picture of Jimmy Carter standing in front of that vacant lot in the Bronx, calling it a disaster area. So that's where I came from. You know, Bronx is way better now as far as, you know, circumstances, but you know, anybody remember that time? You know, landlords or slumlords, as I would call them, used to burn down buildings and collect.
Bronx is burning. Yep.
Yeah, in the 80s. I remember that.
So that was that area. You know, I grew up in the you know, concourse area right near Yankee Stadium. All that part over there is my stomping ground. You know, Forest Projects, Webster Projects, Washington Projects,
That
Clay
was
Avenue.
really rough, storming back in the day.
Yeah. So so I got some of my, you know, on the ground learning from that area. You know what I'm saying? So coming from there, but we had a lot of great people coming from there too. A lot of working class, you know, working class people, you know, poor working class, you know, got up and went to work every day, took care of families. You know, the block that I lived on, my mom no longer lives on that block. There was people who own their own property. A lot of the, you know, people who own their own homes, or you know, professionals, black professionals. Even though we lived in that surrounding area, you know, we did the best, you know, to keep
Best people that come from areas like that.
yeah, you know. So you know, much respect due to those people. Those are people that get overlooked. You know, you talk about crime on the news, but you never talk about those everyday people, you know, who get up every day, go to work every day, take care of their families, don't hurt anybody, contribute to the community. We don't hear enough about them, but I talk about them in my book.
Good.
Mm.
Nice.
And
nice.
what's up, Ray? Yeah, let us know where you grew up in the Bronx, down the block where.
He said 163rd and 3rd Avenue, South of Forest Projects.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw the comment. Okay, I missed that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's not too far. Like I was on Clay Avenue, so you guys are like a little bit behind us. But my mom grew up. She reminded me because I'm working over there now. She's like, yeah, don't you remember? You know, I grew up over there, Forest Projects, Jane Avenue. You know, so yeah. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, so that's the area I grew up in. So this book is about, you know, the underdog. You know, it is about my life, but it's about us all of us who've ever felt like an underdog, who didn't feel like we were, you know, we were overlooked, you know, and not given our due props. That's what this book is about.
That's what's up. Yeah, because back then I very rarely talk about it, you know, but a lot of people know I used to be a rap artist. I was on B-Boy Records when Chris and them made that record, South Bronx. So the group called JVC Force. We had a record called Strong Island at the time. And I remember we used to go down there on 138th Street to B-Boy Records. And back then, like 88-ish, it was so bad that the police, and there were nurses, there was a hospital somewhere around there, and the police gave the nurses who used to get off late at night the permission to treat the red light as a stop sign, because people was getting like snatched out their cars. Like, so they were allowed to do, you know, slow down, make sure nothing was going, and then keep going. You know, they had permission to do that because they were scared to stop at the red light. Like, it was really that bad at that point back then.
Right.
You know, and then the crack era was just starting to bubble a little bit, you know, and so it was bad. But a lot of beautiful people come from that area, and we don't never talk about that we don't ever celebrate life in the inner cities like that. We always talk about the bad part. I saw a documentary on Harlem the other day, and they were talking about how, you know, everybody came from down south to Harlem, and, you know, very few people had money, but then you had different classes, and it was just how beautiful it was in the city. You know what I'm saying? And and all the arts came from there, like you know, it became a beautiful thing. But that's what we need to celebrate. And, you know, it's Black History Month. We need to celebrate life in our inner cities. Shout out to Latina Brown. She's running for city council to represent that area in the South Bronx.
Okay.
We're gonna have her on this show soon too. And shout out to Ray Wilcox. He is our next guest that will be on after this, talking about some of his stuff. So what made you? And this is your second book. What made you put out this book? What got you to that?
Well, it was sort of cathartic in a way, because I felt like I was on the other side of this, you know, these stories. You know, so it's about me not only looking back on my life, but, you know, kind of looking back on the things I was able to accomplish due to the fact that I did have obstacles in my life. You know, I'm talking about when I was on the show last, my pops, who, you know, worked 17 years as a machinist, but he struggled with, you know, alcoholism, you know, but he still got up every day and went to work every day, despite those struggles, you know, you know, I talk about, you know, some of the people, even my sister, who, you know, did her best to be a great mom, but struggled with crack, you know, and through that, God, you know, by the grace of God, was able to, you know, get off of that and never, you know, get back on. But just the fact that she had to struggle with those things. And then my own struggles, you know, I kind of laughed last time I was on here at Taft High School, where I went to, 170th Street. So I see a whole lot of Bronx people on here. Probably know that area. But when the time that I went, it was really bad, you know. Talk about the friend I grew up with, who is now probably still on death row. If I'm hoping he's still on death row, because if he's not,
he's still alive,
you know. But he was probably one of my best friends in school, one of the sweetest guys to me. But he had another side to him where at any moment, you know, he could, you know, snap, you know. And, you know, I remember the times I was standing in the hallway with him in, you know, Taft High School, and the guy came by and he just started beating him up and robbing. It's the same guy I'm just laughing with, you know, laughing with cracking jokes. And like I said, one of the sweetest guys, but he had that twist, you know. And most people who didn't know him or would see him from outside would probably say, this guy's a thug, he's a gangster, you know, he deserves what he got. But and they don't talk about his story of his struggles of, you know, his father beating him, and, you know, all the things he went on through at home. And, you know, those are the stories that we don't see the other side. We only see, like, the news, you know, what stuck somebody up, you know, but what's his story? You know,
they always say, look what he did, as opposed to say what happened to him.
You know, we don't see that also. And I was the same way, you know. My mom and my dad were separated. You know, I didn't always have, even though my father tried his best, the best role models. It took my mom kind of taking an active role in putting mentors in my life. You know, she was very religious. She was Jehovah's Witness, still a Jehovah's Witness to this day. And she, the brothers in that Kingdom Hall became my fathers. You know, a lot of them were married, working, you know, and they took me under their wing and showed me another side. You don't have to be like that. You know, you can go to work every day and live in this neighborhood. You can do the right thing and still be stand up, you know.
You can get out the box,
Right. So I'm going to show you another side, you know. And so I'm grateful for them, and especially to my mom, for knowing that there's certain things that she couldn't provide, you know, as far as being female. You know, there's certain things she can't teach. She knows how to be a woman, and she can teach me right from wrong, but she can't teach me how to be a man. But she made sure that she had men that could teach me that, you know, what it's like to be a stand-up, responsible man, you know, and that's what the book talks about.
Now I know as an author myself, you know, right, this is your second book.
Yes.
Writing a book, a lot of people have books in them. A lot of writers have books in them. But they get caught on, in the process, they get caught on choosing the title or, trying to make sure the beginning is right and all these little semantics that they never write the book. You know what I'm saying? What advice would you give to authors right now that just want to get a book done, that want to write a book, that their process? What would you advise? How would you advise them?
Well, at first I advise them not to get caught up on title. For me, I always come up with the title first, but everybody's process is different. Because the title sort of kind of gives me inspiration on where I think I want to go. But I wouldn't get caught up on titles. I would say just write, write, and then write about what you know. Don't if you want to get into a research book about birds, and you're not a person who is really into that, it's going to be tough for you to write it. Try to write about things that you know and you understand. So that's what I would tell people. The other thing is, if you're going, what way are you going to go about when it comes to publishing the book? Like I went through, independent publishing through Amazon, and what does that mean? First, in my first book, I didn't really go through, I didn't understand all the aspects of going that route, having an ISO number. What does that mean? That means ownership of the book. If this book, if Netflix calls and say, "Hey, Derrick, we love this book. We want to make it into a movie," and I say, "Okay, great," and I don't own that ISO number. 9 times out of 10, Amazon's going to become even more rich, especially if it becomes a hit, right? So it's good for you to have ownership, knowing what an ISO number is, how you want to distribute your book, who is your target market, because everybody is not your target market. Not everybody wants to hear about Derrick's story in the South Bronx. There's certain places I'm not going to go and talk about it. Now, for instance, if MSNBC calls me, I'm not going to say no. You know what I'm saying? It's MSNBC. I'm not going to say no. But most of the people on there are not necessarily my target market for this book. A better place may be here. Maybe The Root. Different places like that are more toward the minority community that could relate to some of the stories that I'm talking about. So you got to be all those things you got to think about, because this is still, even though you're coming up with your own art, it's still a business. You want to make at least some money. I know it's a labor of love, but if it's nice, if you can make some money off the things that you do.
Absolutely. We like to, I was in the music, like I said, I was in the music business for a while. So we always talk about music, owning your music. It's the same thing when you do this. You have to know your product. You have to learn all you can about the product. If you're doing it yourself, you got to be prepared to do the marketing, the promotion. Yeah, if you get a book deal, the book publishing company will do that, but they're going to get so much more of your money. You're going to get less money per book. You know what I'm saying? Like it will be out more places, but you get a whole lot less money. Sometimes putting it out yourself is the best way, but you have to be willing to do the work, the marketing. You have to go out there and do the promotions of it. You got to go do all the things that I tell people, because people ask me that question all the time. I tell people, just write. Like, don't worry about the beginning. Like, just start writing, because sometimes there's a lot of ideas. You can format it later. You can put it in chapters later. You can, you know what I'm saying? You can do whatever you want later. Write the beginning, write the end, however you want to do. Just start writing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then once you get it, you know what I'm saying? Then you can format it and make it, in your final edits and all that stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of time we get caught up. You see that the cursor on your computer, and you're just staring at it, and it's just blinking, and you never get no writing done.
And that could be intimidating. Seeing that thing blinking and figuring that you should be, it should just be flowing out. And some days it didn't. And it's a war of attrition. I mean, for me, I had to, I always had a goal of, I wanted to do like 10 pages a day. Most times I made it that, but I have to tell you, those 10 pages weren't always good content. Sometimes you just gotta fight through it, and I think people get caught up on, oh, this doesn't sound as good, or all of this other stuff. The other thing is, if you were to go to a publisher now, and this is something that, I have, had conversations with myself and my wife, and, if I was going to a publisher now, there's certain criteria you have to meet. I don't know about you, but when's the last time you seen, regular author, when I say regular, kind of somebody not as well known, kind of blow up? And it's usually due now because a place like HarperCollins or, one of those big publishers wants you to come in, with a certain amount of social media followers. They want you to, say, if you're going to have an event, you could pack that event with 100 people, just for you being there, for them to even consider wanting to publish your book, and that's also not taking into consideration the fact that they might want to change some of your content, right? So
edit it, right?
Right. So, I want to talk this way because I know this audience. They were like, well, we want to sell this more to this audience. Maybe they might not understand that language or some of the things that you're talking about. So we like to change it because, we're going to be putting all this money into this marketing machine, and we want you to kind of curtail it to the things that we're thinking about as opposed to what you're focused on. So all those things, you got to kind of take into account, and for me, I knew that I know my story. I have a pretty good understanding of the audience that I'm trying to talk to. And I'd rather build it up, and make it my own than have somebody who has no idea what I'm trying to accomplish or may not even care, because as far as they're concerned is, some of these places feel like they're doing you a favor, whether whatever you're bringing to the table or not. And I didn't want to have that fight, because I feel like I may not sell every day, 100 books. I'm fine with selling 10 today, 20 next week,
That's
30
good.
another week. I go to this book signing, I'll sell, maybe 20 there. Another place I'll sell 30. And it's little, it adds up.
Yeah, it does. That's not bad.
Yeah, so but you got to be on your hustle. It's just like being an entrepreneur. You got to constantly be on your hustle, and not give up and keep pushing forward with it. If you want to do this seriously.
Right. So you'll have to excuse me. I just switched screens real quick. I'm using multiple devices, and one of our guests is asking me to text him the link. I was using the phone that I needed to text him to do the video on, and I'm like, I had to switch screens to my tablet. So thank you for continuing to talk.
Yeah.
Derrick,
any questions, Lorraine?
Yeah. Derrick, the ending of your book, is it where you are currently in life?
No, because the ending of my book, I write. I'm in my 20s, and I'm writing I just completed my play called Choices. That's one of the most. That's the first professional thing writing. A gig that I got. Right. I talk about because I mentioned it a little bit on here that I interned at the Negro Ensemble Company. As I stated before, a lot of heavy hitters has come through the Negro Ensemble Company. Negro Ensemble Company is still around to today, with Denzel Washington, David Allen Greer, Samuel L. Jackson. So after I was kicked out of Taft High School, my mother put me into City Ave School, which was an alternative high school and it helps you besides, through traditional learning, they also help you get internships. One of the first internships by my mentor, God rest his dead, Arnie Ratner, who I love. And he was also like a surrogate father to me. He got me this gig at the Negro Ensemble Company. And I started out an intern. I started out, filing, putting headshots, actors, and, file cabinets. Then I started working in the theater itself. And then eventually, through them trusting me, they gave me this opportunity to write a play. And I go into detail about, before then, but the details that led up to it, me writing the play, is kind of a discrepancy between some other partners and I who wanted to, do this together. But they gave me this opportunity because they knew me. They said, here you go. We're gonna have you at this theater, at the Samuel Beckett Theater. I'm not sure if it's still there. It's off Broadway on 42nd Street. And that was my first play. And again, it's choices about it was a coming of age story, young man who is kind of fighting between the street life and trying to go on the right path. It starts out with his father, who is in a futuristic prison. Well, actually, it starts out with him in a futuristic prison, the main character, and how he got there. And that was how it ended, because after talking about being left back, kicked out of high school, here I am with all these, I've had stars come to that play. The gentleman who played in The Wire, what is, I can't recall his name.
What was his character?
Huh? You know what I'm talking about? He played a cop. He's the kind of heavy set. I can't think of his name right now, but he came to my play. Wendell Pierce.
Wendell Pierce.
Wendell Pierce came out to my play. I had Dick Grayson come out to play. So you're talking about a kid from the South Bronx being left back. All of a sudden, all these people appreciating your work. So it was a real blessing. So that's where it ended.
So you want to have a book 3?
Well, we'll see. I'm kind of trying to base it on the way this book does. Because I'm building up my audience more and more, and I like it to do better than the first book. Of course, first book did pretty good. I like this to do a lot better. I feel this is to a wider audience. That book was more to a business. A business segment, business audience. This book is more of a wider general audience. So I'm hoping this book does a little bit better, and then we'll see from there. I mean, I love writing, and if the right inspiration comes along, absolutely.
Are you based out of Yonkers, Bronx, Mount Vernon? Yonkers?
Yeah, I'm in Yonkers. Yeah,
listen, you need to network. I suggest you network with Ray Wilcox. He's the executive director of Yonkers Arts.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go into the website, he's got a database of all different types of artists, and it's a good person to know. Yeah.
Yes.
You need to hook up.
He was behind the Black Lives Matter mural, right?
He did the Black Lives Matter mural. Yes.
Okay. By City Hall. Yeah. He's our next guest.
That's Ray, who was on 163rd Street.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
You already got something in common. See?
No doubt. Yeah, he's coming on next. So the one thing also that's good about putting out the book by yourself independently, when you're signed to a big publishing company, it's the same thing as like being signed to a big record company. Yeah. Like the numbers. You have to do certain numbers and keep doing certain numbers in the beginning, or then you kind of get shelved. You're looked at as a success for what you do in the beginning, and then they keep putting promotion into you. But where you do it independently, even if you start out small and it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds, it's not as much pressure as like that for opening weekend, like a movie. A movie comes out. It don't do numbers the opening weekend. It gets cut from here to theaters the next weekend. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But when you put it out yourself, it's a label up, and also, then it brings attention to your first book. You know what I'm saying? And your first book still can sell. You're still selling your first book. So that's the good thing about putting it out yourself. If you keep, as long as you're putting in the work, you can keep selling it, and it keeps selling. It might take a longer time to sell,
Yeah.
but you get more. You get more from each copy. Talk
Yeah.
a little bit about the first book. Just so I know you mentioned it last week.
Right.
You mentioned it last week.
Right. Yeah. So my first book was I built it, but they ain't coming. And it was a marketing book, a play on Field of Dreams.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, if you build it, they will come. This is I built it, but they ain't coming, right? And basically, what I examine for the small business person is why aren't they coming? What aren't you doing? Aren't you taking advantage of social media? When I first started my business, Griot's Road Film Production, and I was going out to networking events, giving out cards, and I was asking people, hey, how can I reach you? You got a website? No. Are you on social media? No. Well, how are we gonna find you? Oh, I'm just giving out these cards. I'm here. Okay, great. So what happens after? Right? You have to constantly have this ongoing conversation with your audience. And that's what I was saying in the book. Even now, when I know you, AJ, will send me the video of this, but guess what? Derrick is also going to send it out too, right? So it's going to, it's going to be a continuous conversation. I send out emails, I send out social media stuff. I keep my audience abreast of what I'm doing, what's happening, where am I going to be, so that's what marketing is all about, is the strategy on how you're going to do that. And, advertising is the execution, how you're going to do that. Where you going to do that? You're going to do it in a newspaper. You're going to do it on billboard. You're going to do it on social media. How long is it going to run? Because, a lot of us don't understand who have small businesses. We get so indulged in the operation portion of it, right? If I own a restaurant, how many, burgers am I going to have in this fast food restaurant? How much bread, menus, all that different stuff. But you can have all that stuff together, but it doesn't matter if nobody's eating the burgers because nobody's showing up, because they don't know you there. Right. And where are these people at who are going to come? Maybe, the people that you open your restaurant in that location, maybe they're vegan, right? The majority of them, they don't eat meat, right? So what then? Did you have that conversation with that audience and say, hey, do you eat burgers? Do you eat meat? Do you eat pork? They say no. Where does that leave your business? You supposed to have that conversation way before you open that location. Is it a good location? Is it a lot of foot traffic? All these things you need to know. All that's marketing and advertising. Besides just, everybody's excited about opening the store, but what are you going to go about? How are you going to go about having those conversations? And I talk about, how people use YouTube, how people use, like you guys are using YouTube here as a marketing tool. How you using Facebook? How you using Twitter? Even LinkedIn, all those different, sites, and, what's the good and the bad, and, how to best use them and utilize them based on your business. And that's what I talk about in the book.
Yeah. And you have to be able to move, like COVID changed the game. So we did this show for 5.5 years in a studio in Yonkers. An internet studio. It was set up like a real radio station. It was just on the internet. We broadcasted the same way, but you could call in. We had to call in. We had the sound effects and all that stuff like you have a radio station. But then we had to shut down. And now we had to find a way to keep it going. Like, you know what I'm saying? Keep doing this show weekly that we were doing. So we tried Zoom and we tried other couple of programs and ended up with this one that I like a lot. And it was just like, then it was like the newspaper. You distribute it everywhere. Okay, now the places we distributed, the black churches, the community centers, the library, they all closed. What you gonna do?
Yeah. So we had
to start pushing the digital edition way harder. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, so you have to be able to deal with, because no matter how well you plan, there's always going to be something unexpected, and you have to be able to deal with it when it comes and be able to move. Like water. Water will continuously grow because it could be big rocks. Eventually, it will go around the rocks and keep going. Water will always keep going. You cannot stop water. You know what I'm saying? So it's
like
like
Bruce Lee said, be like water, my friend.
yes, yeah,
Yes, be like water.
You know what, Derek?
Yes.
Mhm.
I just said because of COVID, everything changes. We don't have the studio and stuff. Because of COVID, now in Yonkers, and I'm saying it because Yonkers, just like any other city, we're real proud of our people, especially, artists and writers. There have been some pop-up shop that have been going on in Yonkers. They just had one the other day, and local artists with their books. And it's all African American folks. And the guy's name is Dwayne Cloud. But maybe if you hook up with Ray, he could probably get you to hook up to Dwayne.
Okay.
Yeah, if not, hit me up and I'll get you his information. It's really nice. They're renting like big places and they have their booth and you have all artists from Yonkers, t-shirts, hats, books, their creations.
Yes. Yeah.
So while you saying that, Lorraine, Ray's in the green room. Ray's in the green room, so he's nodding his head. He's laughing. I can see him. Y'all can see him yet.
I'm like volunteering, Ray. Because I know Ray's the man.
Yeah, he's just shaking his head, laughing right now. Y'all can't see him though. Yeah. Word up. You have another business. I wanted to give you a chance to talk about that. I mean, you took an ad for your business. Talk about that. And the multiple income streams. That's what it seems like about that.
Yes. Yeah. So I created another business, Griot's Vending, which is a vending machine company. So I mean everybody understands how this works. So I'm currently working on a few locations now. I supply snack machines as well as soda machines. I like to do PPE,
that'll be a hit.
Equipment as well. Trying to possibly get into some of these, city agency locations as well, because I know some of them might be interested in that. Just like AJ said, it is very important. I learned that the hard way of having multiple streams of income. And that's the way that serial entrepreneurs are. You don't just have one business going. I don't know, anybody watch Shark Tank? These guys on Shark Tank, Damon John and all these guys on there. Damon John owned Fubu, but he got his hands in so many different things, and that's just the American way. If you're trying to continue to have any kind of income come in, but particularly trying to be successful economically, the best practice is to have different venue streams. That's just the way it is. Then different ventures going on, and that's been my practice, since the conception of my first business. That's why I write books. That's why I got vending machine company. I'm looking for other opportunities. I own property, trying to own some more property.
Nice. And you also teach, right?
And I'm a teacher, that too. So I didn't stop that either. So it's like, keep the checks coming in. That's the way.
Tell us what you teach again.
I teach history.
Okay.
I'm a history teacher. So you gotta keep that money flowing in. For us is imperative, because you just never know. Just what, like AJ said, and you guys were talking about, COVID hits. What happens now? I work at this place is closed. Now what? Especially you have one job, you working paycheck to paycheck. That job closes. Where's the other income coming from? You gotta have other things going. That one steps down, we got this over here. We got that over here. We got that over here. All those checks still keep coming in, and you build more streams and more streams as much as you can.
As I ask you last words, I'm going to bring Ray Wilcox on the screen so y'all can see each other, and then I will connect y'all later. But anything I haven't asked you, any last words, social media, website, how people can get in touch with you, et cetera, et cetera.
Hey, Ray, how you doing?
And
pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you, Derek.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you, man. Pleasure to meet you. I look forward to connecting with you after this interview too.
Oh, wonderful. If people want to reach out to me, as I said, my Instagram page is Derrick M Guest, the storyteller. That's my Facebook page as well. You can reach out to me. My email is griots. That's the storyteller, GRIOTS at griots, GRIOTS roll, as in roll the film, or hero roll, ROLL production.com. So those ways are kind of the best ways to reach out to me.
And make sure that you send me all that again, because when I do, I'm gonna chop the video up again, make sure that your portion is there, and I'm gonna do a little write up and spotlight on you, and then put it on the website and then blast it out. So so make sure you send me that at the bottom. It'll have all your links and social media, everything. People just click on it. Click on the link to your books. Try to get you some attention. Traffic to your book sales and everything. Lorraine, any last questions? Any comments for Derrick?
No. I'm glad. I was fascinated by your story. I want to read the book. So make sure you do the pop-up so that I can show up and I buy the book. And you can sign it.
Yes. It would be my pleasure. It would be good to sign a book. I haven't signed one in quite some time.
Oh.
It's COVID. So that was always the fun part, because before COVID hit, that's what I was doing. I was, I had my little book signings. I go to different bookstores, and you have the people come out and, sign books. You take pictures with them. It's nothing like that. I miss
but it'll be over soon. Have faith.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
No doubt. I will make sure that I connect the two of y'all via text message. If I don't do it tonight, just one of y'all text me tomorrow and remind me, and I'll connect the two of y'all.
We'll do. I already
Derrick,
started following him already, so we're good.
You already started following? Okay.
Yeah.
Derrick, thank you for your flexibility. Thank you for coming back, and thank you for your support of Black Westchester. And we're gonna get you back on, because I want to get you back on, continue the conversations about some of the other things, Black ownership, Black authors. We're gonna do. Dr. Bob's working on a black author series. I need to fill you in on that once he gets a date. We did that before, Mount Vernon, where you had a lot of the Black authors come through. It might have to be outdoor in front of the library, because of COVID, cool. So social distance. They're working out the particulars now, but when they get it, I will make sure that I get you locked in with him to get you involved in that so you can promote the book.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Bye, Derrick.
No doubt. That was my man Derrick Guest, Black author. Definitely want to thank him for coming through. And now we're going into our next guest, Ray Wilcox, the executive director of the Yonkers Arts Inc. Did I say all that right? That's a title. Right?
That's a full government.
Okay. Wait. And shout out to our next guest, who's already tuned in a little earlier, talented comedian. He's in the green room right now, listening to us. So I just want to say shout out to him. Acknowledge that I see my dude right there. So we wanted to have you on. Definitely. And Lorraine was like, "Yo, we got to bring him on before Black History Month's over." So this is the brother, if I'm not mistaken, who brought us the Black Lives Matter mural in Yonkers by City Hall. The first Black Lives Matter mural, in the county of Westchester altogether. So to first talk about that and the process, that whole process.
Sure. Again, I came into this position as executive director about 2 years ago, and in sitting on this Yonkers Arts board, I realized that for one, we could be doing a lot more, and the second is, again, probably the most important, is that as a Black man here in the city, we understand that some of the histories that happen here in Yonkers, that it was pretty important to bring this project to the city. And even if I was bounced around from location to location, but again, my ultimate goal was to have that in front of City Hall, because that was the most significant and the most important place that we actually pitched to the city. But again, shout out to the city of Yonkers, because they actually roll with me, man. The mayor's office, City Hall, the mayor, the mayor, City Hall, city planning, and just the community really came through to help this be I wouldn't say simple, but an easier process.
You know, when you say really, go ahead, AJ.
I want to thank you for your. Go ahead, Lorraine.
I don't want to do this, AJ. When you say it was a real community event, I'm going to testify to that because there were names that we recommended, Black Westchester recommended, and you without hesitation looked them up, confirmed them, and you did the right thing and you put them in there. We appreciate that.
Listen, Lorraine, I really appreciate you for even sending me the note, and AJ, you as well, sending me and connecting me with some of the families. That might have been one of the hardest things, and just kind of, talking to some of the families and experiencing that, because, I mean, that list could have been, endless at the end of the day, which is crazy. But it was significant that we definitely added some of the local names that, again, unfortunately lost their lives. But that process in itself. Again, I took like a week off after that because I just had to stay in bed and just recoup, because the emotional toll was heavy. I mean, there was a lot going into that day that we had to go through. But at the end of the day, the satisfaction for making it happen outweighs anything that I've done in my life, honestly.
Nice.
And that is what I was getting ready to say too. We were on the same page. I wanted to thank you for adding the names, because we can celebrate. We can talk about the loss of George Floyd and the loss of Eric Garner and the loss of Mike Brown and Freddie Gray, but we can't forget the Black lives lost at the hands of the police here in Westchester. And not enough people in Westchester even know those names. And they'll go out and they'll march for George Floyd, and they didn't even know about Kenneth Chamberlain Sr., or they didn't know about, several other incidents. Jonathan Maldonado in Greenberg. And there's an extensive list. DJ Henry at Pace University.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, I actually went to Pace for 2 years upon graduating high school, and not that long after was the whole DJ Henry situation. And it was so unfortunate because, honestly, like, the kid reminded me of me, like a young basketball player. He looked like me. So it was something that was very important. And I'm glad that you guys, again, reminded me, because in the middle of the whole project, it just slipped my mind. And again, it was something that I definitely was so happy about. Yeah, man. Yes, it was.
Once you sent the pictures, I sent it straight to. I texted to his mother, and she was very pleased that you included, and you remembered. But yeah, we have to. That's one thing. Black Westchester, we make sure that people remember the local names. The people that are there. So.
Sure.
So talk about Yonkers. What is? I don't know if it's talent or my guest. I need somebody to mute themselves because I'm hearing noises. Somebody got to mute. Oh, hello. Okay, whoever it was, you did it. Thank you. I don't hear no more back. I don't hear no echo no more. What was I going to say? So explain Yonkers Arts. When did it start? How you got involved? And what does it do?
Sure. So Yonkers Arts, it was started in 2007, actually, by a bunch of local prestigious artists. And the whole mission really was to just create this community of artists and enhance whatever they've got doing. So whether it's through marketing channels, whether it's through interviews, we really wanted to put these artists, creatives in a position that have more awareness. But at the same time, too, and like I said, in coming into this position, I came into it 2 years ago. I realized that, again, with the city that's prevalent and thriving with such dope creatives and artists, that we should be doing a lot more, and especially programs that we could reach out to some of the low income communities. So that's like one of my main missions on top of the actual mission for Yonkers Arts. But I came into this position actually through the work in the Power Lab. So if you guys don't know about the Power Lab, but the Power Lab is.
We've had him on too.
Lamont.
I had my man Lamont.
That's our baby. That's my baby.
So you already know. So Lamont, myself, and Anthony Bailey, we were the 3-headed monsters that created the Power Lab, and I kind of got into this art world because I felt like the office needed to have that vibrancy that some of the offices that we know or we're used to don't really have. So we pretty much created the Power Lab to be its own gallery. And I met all of these dope artists. I started working with them, and then I was brought up. And the Yonkers Arts seen my work and seen my passion behind it, and he was like, you know what, snatch him up and bring him into the executive director position.
Nice.
That's what's up.
Nice.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man.
That's real nice.
We need to celebrate are artists. The arts have been taken out of the school. They took a lot of music and the arts out of the school, and for some kids, that's what kept them coming to school. I saw an interview back in the days with Kenny G, who talked about music class saved his life because he didn't like school. So without music class, we might not have Kenny G. He might have dropped out like another dude that just dropped out. But it was the music teacher that kept him coming back in music class and learning certain things that kept him going. And a lot of our young people, black and brown people, that's everybody's not going to college. Everybody's not going to be a doctor or lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Some people are going to be artists. Some people, some form of artists. And we need to nurture our young artists. And we need programs like yours to celebrate them and for them to have a place to go. So I'm very big on that.
And that's very important to myself as well, because I was fortunate enough to again work with Yonkers Public Schools, and I had a program in 3 of the junior high schools here in Yonkers, and again some of the junior high schools, again, we know, the Hostos to the Cesar Chavez schools, they're in low income communities, and some of the students were some of the most talented creatives I've ever met, and to not be able to foster that particular talent and to help develop that I think is a problem. That's the one thing I'm very big on. I noticed that a lot of the art activations and the developments and the murals, the museums, the galleries are all in downtown Yonkers. But again, with 250K people here in the city, we could be touching so much more. And that's like my biggest thing. I want to be able to bring the arts directly into the communities. And that's the reason why I have all these different projects currently pending and happening right now as we speak. So that's very, very important to me.
All right. Let's talk about some of these projects. Okay. I know 2 of them. The one with the parks and let's do MHA. Let's do MHA first. Wilson Kimball.
Yes.
Is my new hero because we got a young black man running an arts organization, and MHA just don't gave him a contract. I've never heard like you did it, bro. Like, and she saw the vision. Like she had faith.
So
and let's talk about that a little bit. Tell us about that.
Sure. So the municipal housing project, that's the project you're referencing. But Wilson, let me just backtrack to Wilson Kimball, because Wilson Kimball has been an ally for the arts here in Yonkers for a very, very long time, and especially about putting again, persons of color, women especially, in positions to really do beautiful work here in the city. Yeah. Now, going back prior to when I was in this position, I understand that there might have been some opportunities for artists that wasn't really provided for the overall local community, and I think that's where that whole article happened, right? But the project, the project really is to we're looking to enhance the living experiences of some of the residences and some of the municipal properties. So from School Street to Slow Bombs, they all got new names now. It's School Street,
I was born in Slow Bomb.
Exactly. So Palisade and Calgano to some of the senior assisted facilities. We're looking to just create some beautiful art installations, whether it's murals, whether it's sculptures, and it's really all engaging the community. So I have this dope artist from School Street that's going to contribute to the actual mural that's in School Street that has huge symbols, has huge significance for that particular property, because this is, again, another fortunate situation. The current mural there is a memorial mural for a young man who lost his life jumping into the Hudson River to save someone else.
Yeah.
Yes, we did that story earlier. He went in to save some young boy. He saved the young boy, and he lost his life.
And he lost his life.
We did a big story on that when that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So the mural is beautiful. It's a beautiful mural, but the wall is chipping. It needs updating. And as an arts organization, I'm not gonna go inside there like, you know what, we should do this, we should do that, we should do this. Now, it's really me. I went to the hood. I was there. And I had a conversation with a couple of gentlemen there, and I was fortunate enough to meet a young man through my friend Jonathan from 914 United. Shout
out to Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan plugged me with this young man, and I'm grateful for him because, again, we allow this young artist the opportunity to, again, for one, make money, and to contribute to his community in a dope way. So that's kind of how I'm looking to do it, man. I want to work with the community to make sure that this is something that they want. Again, it's tough to allow the community to have full input in regards to, you know, design ideation, but at the same time too, I want them to feel like, again, this is theirs, they live with this, and they could be proud of it. So that's something that I'm, again, 10 properties. I'm excited about that.
But it's
Lorraine,
nice because you have to. What happened?
Keep asking questions. I'll be right back. Keep asking questions.
Okay.
Okay.
What's nice is because when you have somebody from the project, their input, it's a double blessing because they can do their vision, but you can also bring a different type of vision, different type of way to look at art, and not so much art can be beautiful in so many ways, not just tagging per se. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that's what they need, you know.
Definitely. And again, like I said, I mentioned earlier in the chat that I grew up in the Bronx, and we understand what these art activations could do for the just aesthetic of the city. Yeah. And that's something I'm looking to do. I mean, I want them to be proud of, like, they come out their building, they see to their right, they see this mural, like, you know, that's a brand new, fresh mural honoring my boy that lost his life, unfortunately. So that's ours. Really big to me. Really big to me.
And they be like, that's ours. That belongs to us. You know, they can claim it and feel proud. It's wonderful. So how many murals are you're gonna be doing for MHA?
So it's actually a combination. So it's 18 properties technically, but we're looking to do art in about 12 of them. Some of the properties don't really need art, but they could really benefit from some type of really good landscaping system. So updating and landscaping, so making more green, more shading, and we're looking to, you know, partner with like Groundworks Hudson and see how we can really enhance that. So that's something that we're looking to do too. But from inside murals to outdoor sculptures to maybe even, you know, commissioning some artists to get their canvases inside the property, that's something else that we're looking into. So it's just every property is mixed, is different. We have to really engage the resident advisory board and some of the community members to see how, you know, what works the best, and that's kind of like the process.
Right. You know that picture that they have put up? Is that really going to be? Because I really like it. Is that really going to be one?
So shout out to whoever did that photoshopping right there, because that was actually the Generation Y picture that they just like self-imposed and put me on, and slapped me on. I think that might have been School Street.
Because that was like, my granddaughter would love that. Like,
you talking about the actual?
No, the picture, the one that they put the one in the wall with the flower light.
Yes. So that's, you know, it's crazy because that right there was a proposal. I'm not sure who leaked that proposal, but that's one of the renderings that we actually, you know, pitched to municipal housing, and that's actually on Curran Court. So that's where the main headquarters is at.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so you'll be able to pass. Yeah, so it's not done yet, but you'll be able to pass Central Avenue and see that right across the street from the library, and it's going to be very, very big and very prominent.
Beautiful.
And that's again, she's a woman artist. I'm not sure if she's actually from Yonkers, but she's dope. She's really dope.
So beautiful.
Tell people how they can find out more about you, follow you on social media, website. They want to know more about Yonkers.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's simple. You can follow us on IG at Yonkers Arts. On Facebook, you can follow me at Yonkers Arts. Our website is www.yonkersarts.org. I also want to plug in my Art in the Park project website. So Art in the Park, Yonkers.org. Please go into that.
What is that, right?
Oh, so real quick, without me getting too crazy about this, but this is my passion project right here, my baby. So growing up in the Bronx, I was grown and raised in the basketball courts in the parks, and I feel like I got a lot of my personality, a lot of my development traits as an adult growing up in the community. And here in Yonkers, there's the parks and playgrounds here in Yonkers are pretty. They don't represent the community in a very, that's my political way to put it. And this project really is designed to bring some really dope murals and art activations into these parks to really give that, again, community something proud of, but to give those kids and kids like me growing up a sense of like, I'm proud of this park. I could grow up in this park. I could do whatever this park, and they're just beautiful murals that's been happening across the world. And I want to bring 10 here. I'm trying to do 10 parks in the next like 4 years.
You know what you should do? I know this is the old and it's not like high tech art, but like one of those parts of community kits, you know, you put the handprints on there too. You know,
Sure.
give it, yeah.
Yeah, from positive messaging to people that think that look like them, like their idols. It's all going to be reflective of the actual community. So again, one park in South Yonkers could look completely different than a park in like Tuckahoe.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you, Lorraine. You always have my back. I appreciate you.
and I want to invite you to come back as you finish some of these projects, to come back and talk and come back and let us know different things that you're doing. Open door. You know how to reach me. You know how to reach Lorraine. Definitely want to do that. Want to actually do a spotlight piece on you at some point on the website and the paper to celebrate. You know, actually see you and celebrate some of your art. Your art.
Thank you.
We're gonna have to make that happen when things is a little more loose, and I can go meet y'all and I can go see y'all.
Okay. Sure.
After he gets his vaccine.
Yeah. So hopefully that's gonna happen sooner than later. But anything I didn't ask you for now that you want people to know? Anything I didn't ask you?
Sure. I mean, yeah, those two things are definitely the most important things happening right now. But I definitely have. I want to shout out Katori Walker, who hosts actually my artist showcase every week. So we acknowledge, we shout out, we showcase, we highlight a local artist every week on Sundays. And we started this last year as something to build upon our in-person artist showcase. But this right here has been taken off, and it's been beautiful. I mean, we multiplied our views like threefold just by doing it virtual.
It's online?
So it's online. So every week on Sunday, it's on Instagram, our Instagram Live. Katori Walker's interviews a different artist every week. And I do a concert every week as well. I mean, every month as well. So I'll keep you guys updated to help and keep you guys aware.
No doubt. Yes, definitely keep us in the loop. And you had a comment from Sandy Barnaby from the Anti-Racism Alliance. She said, "Thank you for the fabulous BLM mural."
Thank you. I appreciate all the support, man. Your community held me down, so I really love you guys. Thank you.
No doubt.
How can somebody reach you, Ray?
Oh yeah, you can follow me. You can follow us at Yonkers Arts on Facebook, Instagram. You can follow me at Any State of Mind, ANYSTATMINE on Instagram, and Ray Wilcox on Facebook.
So and as you're going, as our next guest, talented comedian, I like to connect people, so I'm bringing him in as you leaving, so y'all can just say what's up.
Sure,
hey, we're just giving you all kind of people. We're
I'm feeling, yo. Listen, I've been to so many talent shows back in the day, man. This is an honor. So I'm glad that I was able to look at you because there's no pressure right now.
Ray, what's good, man?
Yo, man, appreciate you, man. Nice to meet you.
Everything in the community, brother. I love it. I'm loving it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
This guy's a superstar. And he's too humble. He's humble.
Ray's that guy, man. Y'all raise that guy. Raise connect.
Thank you.
Anybody can get him to put down the Black Lives Matter on the street. They connect.
In Yonkers.
I can't get an orange phone in the neighborhood. I told him I need an orange phone for people go around. They said, "Man, you gotta fill out so much paperwork, bro." But his brother get it done. What up, Ray? You good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you, man. How, you good? You good? Everything's good with you?
I am, man. Actually, fantastic, man. You know, God got a way of keeping the right people productive. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And because you could easily keep the people that's not as important. Not saying that nobody's important, but less important. Those of us who empower and keep a vast amount of people working and moving. When God make us move, because He knows making us move, make 1,000 more move. That's unspoken right there. That's great.
That's true.
That's what's up. Great. That's what's up. Yeah.
I told the audience last night. I'm up here in Buffalo, and I did 2 shows last night. And I told the audience that I said, you know, it's great to be out in these circles moving. I said, they may not know how relevant it is, but when I move, 1,000 people get to move and eat and feed their families like that. You know, so it matters.
No.
Somebody made a comment. Wait,
Go ahead,
wait. Somebody just said, somebody made a comment. Y'all got the cream of crop from the community.
Oh, nice, nice.
See that? Yeah, good. Thank you. I
Nice.
appreciate that. All right,
So we
guys.
going into our
Appreciate you
next
guys,
guest
man.
now. Ray, I appreciate you coming through. Make sure this is not your last time. Open door, please.
Will do.
Come back through. No
I'll
doubt,
be
no
back.
doubt.
I'll keep an eye, and when we know the flow is right, we'll bring you back. Keep
All
an
right,
eye
thank you. I
on
appreciate
what you
that.
do. I always follow what you do. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a text message away. Just let me know when you guys are ready.
Okay.
All right, no
Thank
doubt.
you.
No
All right,
doubt.
guys. Have
That's
a great
dope.
one.
I'm gonna need that connect. I'm gonna need to connect with Ray for my sports show, by the way.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, I will make that happen. And
Okay.
we got a guest. Now, I want to line this up. Two things. First off, so we lost talent.
But tell us.
We lost talent real quick. I'm hoping he'll sign back in because I wanted him to hear what I had to say real quick. So, long story short, me and this brother go back. I'm tell a story while I'm waiting for him to come back. He was also the label that I was on back in the days. He was also in a rap group on that same label. Way back. Oh, here he goes. Here he goes.
All right, we back.
Okay, so I was just saying I was about the little history here. So, you know, I don't tell people the whole Black Westchester world my rap stuff, but you know, I trickle it in a little bit every now and then. We were on the same label. We were on B-Boy Records together.
B-Boy Records.
Yes, sir. So we go back that far, and then while my cousin Michelle told me we related somehow. So I'm like, oh, for real? Like, you know, I spent, you know how much time I spent at the Royce's house?
I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Michelle knows every relation in Mount Vernon.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. Michelle is related to me on my mother's side. And when I moved, I was in Long Island. When I came back, she was telling me how people were related to me on my father's side. Like, oh, that's your father's brother's son's. I'm like, yeah, how do you know all of this? Like, yo, first up. So I just want to shout out my cousin Michelle Harris, Panama Shell. What's going on? So yeah, we go back, and it's good to have you on. Now the reason I brought you on, you actually have your show on Instagram, and you do interviews on Instagram, right. And you did one that several people sent me the link to, and I watched like half of it, and I stopped, and I was like, yo, Michelle, you gotta hook me up with talent. I need to holler at him so I can bring his guests on. Right. I want you to introduce the guest we're about to bring in, and you know, your interview with her, and we're gonna bring her in and let her talk about it.
Okay. So just catch people up. I do something Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings at 10 o'clock on all my platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And Divided States of America is the title of the show, and we tackle all types of news, comments, and stuff, you know, between what's going on with the climate now in the country. And a friend of mine that I work with Nason's Place, which is about raising awareness and money for autistic families, you know, because autism, you know, is overlooked in our community, in the Black community. Yeah. So my girl Nadine, who runs the organization, hit me one day and was like, T, I need to connect you with this person. This is what's going on with the story. See, you know, what you can do. And immediately when I read the story and did the, you know, due diligence and background, I said, oh, yeah, this is right up the alley of, we've been talking about it for months with the climate of the country, but here it is up close and personal. And to give a synopsis, she's going to tell her own story, but to give a synopsis, she has a 16-year-old on the spectrum that, you know, had an episode. You know, from time to time they have their episodes, and people may get hurt a little bit or whatever when they outburst. And the New York City Police Department stepped in, and the judicial system tried to A, charge him as an adult like he's not 16, B, give him attempted murder and assault charges, and treat it like a regular crime when we've been fighting for this time. The whole point of defunding the police is that we can get some specialists in there. So when you're dealing with mentally challenged people or mentally ill people,
they're equipped to handle it, yeah.
And not in a criminal way. And her story, as soon as you hear it, is going to resonate with everybody. So this is now my good friend, and I've been advocating for her, and I'm going to continue to. Miss Latasha is with us who's going through her case right now. We welcome her to the show. Hello, how are you?
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Good evening. Good evening. When I saw the story, I was moved, and the first thing I did was talent and say, "Yo, I have to bring her on to help bring more light to her story." You know what I'm saying? So we had to have you on. So I'll let you just go right and let us know what happened. Fill us in.
Well, to start off, my son suffers from ASD, which is autism spectrum diagnosis, and he also has intermittent explosive disorder, as well as severe ADHD, and he's developmentally delayed. So my son had a psychotic episode in the early part of November. I took him to my neighborhood hospital for crisis intervention. We got there maybe 10 o'clock that night. A clinician came out. He said he would run it past the psychiatrist on call and he'll get back to me. So now by this time, it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. So he said, well, I'm going to interview your son and the psychiatrist is going to interview him. And I said, but he's asleep. How can you interview somebody if they're asleep? Maybe 7 or 8 that morning, I was called to come pick him up. And I said, you can't possibly be releasing him because he came in during a psychotic episode. My baby needs help. Please help him. I cursed, I yelled. They said, the clinician's exact words were, he's fine, he's okay, he's a good kid. I said, I'm not disputing that, but he needs help immediately. They let us go. They, told me to take him home. So I called my mother distraught because I didn't know what to do. And as many grandmothers do, she said, well, bring him over to me. Maybe he needs time with me. I took him over to my mom's house. And 3 days later, he had another psychotic episode where he attacked my mother. And so when he attacked her, he stabbed her 3 times. And she called me saying, oh my God, he stabbed me. I don't know what to do. So I'm in the fall because I can't believe she's telling me what she's telling me. But by that time, he had ran out. And to add this to the story, when he gets upset at home or he has one of his little twerks, he has a photographic memory. So he'll go to New York by himself to get to my mom. Because that's always, they always had a very good relationship. So he ran off, came back home. So we're talking maybe 2 hours. New York had issued out a warrant for his arrest. And I went to the hospital to go see my mom. The detectives, the police, they wouldn't allow me in to see my mother, but they allowed the ADA to come in and ask my mother, was she going to press charges? They wouldn't let her daughter in, but they allowed the ADA to come in and ask, would she press charges? So by the time I got from New York back to my house in Newark, New Jersey, my son was standing in the driveway. We called the police, which is Newark Police. They came in, they got him. They kept him outside in the back of the truck for maybe 3 or 4 hours trying to figure out what to do with him. If New York was going to come get him or what was going to happen. So now we're in the wee hours of the morning. They decide to take him to the same neighborhood hospital that just 3 days later had turned us away.
Yeah.
Then they decide, because the police are there now they're willing to admit him. So, and I said, if you only would have admitted him 3 days ago, we wouldn't be going through this. So now, fast forward, the hospital was allowed to admit him because he was sent to Essex County Juvenile Detention for 2 months, where he was beat up. He wasn't given his proper psychotic medication that he was previously on. They called me and asked me what kind of medicines he was on. I told them, and he still wasn't getting his medicine. He didn't get any education for 2 months. He just sat there like he was a common criminal. He was only allowed out of his room 2 days a week to go to the library. Then the early part of January, the ADA, they had a court case. He had to surrender his rights. I had to go to New York to get him. And I was told that I would be lucky that the ADA is willing to let my son go into residential treatment. That's where he is now. So when I went to New York to get him, He stayed home for a few days because I had to get him a COVID test. And after that, he's in residential treatment. And we're not sure how long he'll be there because the court case is still pending. He's being charged with attempted murder in the second degree and first degree assault.
You know, one of the things that moved me, and like Talent said, the whole thing before the other side tried to co-opt the message, the defund the police message was, every situation doesn't require a badge and a gun. And the police themselves have acknowledged that they are being asked to respond to things that they're not qualified or trained to because the system has shut down programs that would normally respond to these things, you know, with lack of budget cuts. So they are the only avenue to respond, and they're not trained. And so while people are mad about the fund the police, it's about, instead of throwing more money at police departments, we need to put some money in some of these programs for social workers and people who deal with that, and they can go handle these situations without a badge and gun. And we don't have, I mean, how many Black and brown men have been killed in these situations, you know, because of the police didn't understand what was going on, and we got another Black man dead, you know. So that we that's one of the things I really wanted to bring you on. We wanted to expose this and shed more light on this. And I thank Talent for bringing it up, because, you know, it's funny, you know, everybody know Talent laughing, joking, it's just comedy, ha ha ha. But you know what I'm saying? People don't know that he does this kind of stuff too. So I wanted to expose that as well. So yeah.
Here's the thing, and in my defense, so to speak, with this is, it's very simple. I look at it like the Lenny Bruces and the Richard Pryors, right? They didn't just do the laugh part. If you listen to the content of the jokes that these gentlemen were talking about when they were performing, it was reality based. So it kind of like, when you look at a comedian, look at what he's talking about. Look at his subject matter, because if his subject matter is reality based, then you can kind of tell he got his feet planted on the ground. You know what I mean? And I'm one of those dudes that when things happen in the community and happen to us, because we are the underdogs, whether people want to realize it or not, the people of color, when I say Black people, the natural people in this country, we are the underdogs. We are the ones scratching and clawing, fighting to get some simple word called equality. And there are people fighting against us to stop us from said equality. When they came out with defund the police, my eyebrows went up like everybody else. Like, what does that mean? But you do your due diligence and you figure out what that means. And what that means is cases like this has got to stop. You got to stop snatching up these Black young men. He's 16, by the way, and you want to jump to attempted murder, charge him as an adult, you know, these railroading tactics and techniques that hinder us, and all they mean is dollars and cents to the powers that be. They're still trying to fill these prisons, bro.
Right. Lorraine, I know you have. Lorraine, you got a question?
Yeah. Hi, Miss Tatum. First, how's your mom?
She's doing very well. She's great. She's healthy. She's doing good, and she has no intentions on pressing charges. But the ADA and the DA's office picked the case up.
That was my question. Did she press charges? So how are they pressing charges? Adult charges on someone that is in a center right now because of his mental health. How can they even do that?
The ADA states this every time we speak or we have a court case. He makes sure, and he says it with a smirk on his face, that New York is not New Jersey and vice versa. That in New York, you can charge a 16-year-old child with adult offenses.
But he's a child with a disability, though.
They have all my son's prior medical records. They have IEPs. He's been diagnosed since preschool with disability. That's 5 years old.
Wow.
I want to just add, they just supposedly passed something called Raise the Age, where they were supposed to raise the age of what a child can be charged as an adult, and they were supposed to have raised the age. I have to definitely check with some of our state officials because I'm almost sure they come on the show and they talk about they just passed raise the age, so your son should be charged as an adult. You understand what I'm saying with that new legislation?
This is what they're trying to do. But what baffles me is, first thing people will say is, well, why didn't you ask for help? And why didn't you have this doctor step in and that doctor? You name it, I've been to it.
You did it, yeah.
Specialists, clinicians, CMO, you name it, we've had it. And the same system that turned us away is the same system that will lock him up and throw away the kid with no hesitation.
That's all right.
Because the same hospital that turned us away when the police were involved 3 days later, now they're willing to help.
That's because they're not preventative, they're reactive. They don't come, the police never come into our community to stop something from happening. They come in the community after it happened to just lock everybody up. So if there's a big fight, they sweep up the losers and put them in the ambulance, and they arrest the winners and put them in jail. I'm like, they never come to protect and serve. They come to react afterwards. Like, it's reactionary, and we've been exposing a lot of that. And this also goes to, we've had a lot of mental health issues in our community way before COVID. And again, that has a lot to do with the defund the police, people that are described as what they call mentally disturbed persons. The police, I've talked to police chiefs and police commissioners throughout Westchester County, and most of them tell me that their department is not trained to deal with emotionally disturbed persons. You know what I'm saying? So but they have to, and they resent having to go to those calls sometimes too. You know what I'm saying? So I think the only way you change it is by getting to these elected officials to pass legislation to fund these programs. You know what I'm saying? Which is what we need.
Yeah, but even when the police they go in and they rush like they did, and they took him in, and there's still the district attorneys, there's still prosecutors that let's not forget about them. They're the one putting in the charges.
Yeah, you're right. And Lorraine makes a great point when she says, how the system itself is a contradiction. You have this guy you're trying to prosecute as a crime, but yet he's being held in mental situations and institutions, and you have his medical records and his history, so this, but you're moving this way against what you already know.
Right.
Because it doesn't benefit, in his eyes, it doesn't benefit my son to put him somewhere where he can be helped and grow. They want to stop his growth because, when it all comes down to it, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
That's it. And there's no money in prevention. Like you said, they stormed the hood.
There's no money in the cure.
There's no money in care and prevention. The money is spent in prevention. Money is made in apprehension.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, write that down. That was pretty good.
Yeah. I'm gonna quote that in my next show. Like Talon said, no. So where are we at? Where are we at now with your case? Where are we at?
We had a court hearing last week because the ADA and the DA's office took it upon themselves to put a restraining order out so my son and my mother could have no contact. Right. And as of last week, they lifted the restraining order. So now my son and my mom now they're able to communicate with one another. So our next court case is March 18th, and that's going to be the deciding factor if my son's case is going to be heard in juvenile family court or criminal court. But the ADA has stated before that he has no intentions on the case being heard in juvenile family court. And you know why that is? Because there's a stiffer, harsher penalty if it's heard in criminal court.
Of course.
Right.
Is there any type of Is there
Go ahead,
any
Lorraine.
type of advocacy organization? I know they have the Innocence Project, but that's of people that are already incarcerated in jail. There's got to be something in New York City that some type of advocacy that can help you, that can go with you to court, that can
The majority of places, they always say they'll help and they'll intervene, but I reached out to so many people and to get help and to have an extra voice to propel minds, and you never get a call back, you never get an email back, you never get a response back,
or they want a lot of money.
that too, because if it's not a hot topic, a lot of politicians and community people, they don't want to get involved. Like it baffles me. I'm on Facebook and I see all these community groups from my area, and they will come down hard if bulk day was missed or they didn't pick up enough trash that day. Then they are going to a tizzy, but one of their own could possibly face up to 40 years, and that's not worth a response or to get something going. That's not worth it. But if the Department of Public Works don't pick up trash on Tuesday, all hell breaks loose.
Right. What now this happened, where do you live? You live in the city? Where do you live?
Jersey. I live in Newark.
Oh, you live in
Yes.
Newark.
But the situation happened in Manhattan.
In Manhattan. So he's dealing with Manhattan. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. If you could, I'm going to be interviewing through a fellowship. I'm going to be interviewing a lot of the New York City mayoral candidates. If you could ask the mayoral candidates any question, what would you ask them?
What I would like to know is, why aren't there more programs and things to intervene and help? Because just as quick as you're willing to put him in jail and throw away the key, it should be that type of, keep that same fire for stepping in, intervening, and help.
Right.
And now let me ask you a question. What kind of report is the place that he's at? What kind of report are they going to give the court? Do you know?
The last 2 reports he had, he's been great. My son has always been a super honor roll student, so he continues to. He's got a couple prizes, like winning spelling tests. The supervisor of his cottage said he's a breath of fresh air. He's very mannerable. He's respectful. But it's just the mental illness. My son's a phenomenal kid always, but when mental illness sets in, just like anything else, it takes a turn for the worse.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
For those who are watching, then we're gonna put this website and that will watch. What can they do to help, if anything?
Well, what I would like, as many people can, call the ADA's office. Christopher Day is the ADA that's handling my son. State how you feel. Spread the word that this isn't acceptable, and we're not going to stand for this, because I really feel that he's trying to make an example out of my son. Because he has the records, he has the proof, and he knows that mental illness plays the biggest part of this. But he's trying to overlook that and undermine it.
Not only is he trying to make an example of him, but it's the status quo. They don't care.
He's relentless. He sends the police to my mother's house at least once a week to check on her after she stated, "Please stop that." He has people calling her neighbors to ask, "Is she okay?" It's like, I told him, I said, you have so much more to focus on. Are you getting a stipend or bonus if you convict my son, or give him what you feel he's due? I said, absolutely nothing about mental illness other than what you've Googled. You have no idea. My shoes are way too big for you to walk in.
What's amazing, with all the complaints from law enforcement about being overworked because of the COVID thing, because of all the protests, because of all these things going on, and they're being overworked, that they're spending so much time on this one case. One of the things that really touched me in the story that you did when interview with Talent was that they gave him a restraining order to keep him away from his grandmother. And when a child is going through something, the one thing you want is grandma love. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's like a setup,
and
so that when he has an episode to his grandmother, bang, he can lock you up. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like a setup. Especially when she didn't.
The ABA said that the attack my son did on my mom was rage. I said that's not rage. He loves my mother endlessly.
That's not rage.
My baby cried every day because he couldn't speak to his nana. My mother cried because she couldn't speak. That's her only grandchild. I'm my mother's only child. He's my only child. So that's her only grandchild, and they spoke every day.
Yeah.
I told the ADA, I said, you may be able to split us up, but I'll be damned if you divide us.
You know, I have a grandson who's way younger, and he got ADHD, and he has ODD. ODD is oppositional defiance disorder. Yeah, and that's my baby. I'm grandma, and and I'm the only one that he's comfortable with, that he's happy with. I mean, like, there's a bond between grandma and a grandson, especially when the child has issues, you know.
And my mother did a live. My mother did a live explaining how she felt about her grandson, and she made sure, she said, you may be keeping us apart now, but you can never interfere between the love of a grandmother and her grandchild.
And you know what's messed up about that too? Because they're destroying families, because your mom is hurting, you know, and your son is hurting.
But this is what they want to do, because they're willing to lock him up, and then when he does come home, because eventually he will come home, he's gonna be more traumatized, and who'll have to deal with that? Me. Set aside what he's already experienced in residential and what he's experienced in youth detention. When he does come home, then that's my problem. And guess what? He's gonna be aged out of the system. So the little bit of help that's rarely available now, there will be none of that once he turned 21. Then what happens? Then it's my problem because I'm his mother.
And it's going to be a lot for you too.
And what we haven't mentioned tonight, which is very important and imperative to this situation, is although her son is 16 years old with mental issues, he's not operating and on a 16-year-old level. He's operating on an 8-9-year-old level.
Mentally, we talking about a 6 or a 7-year-old, and they know that, and they are very well aware of that. Last week at our court hearing, the judge himself, he said we can clearly see by speaking with this child that mental illness plays a humongous part. But yet we still have to go to court and determine if my son is worth it or not, because that's what it comes down to. And I told the ADA, I said, you can't possibly expect me to believe that you care about my mom and my son, because when this case is over with, you're going to cross his name out, you're going to cross my mother's name out, and you're going to be on to the next, because that's what you do.
And another reason I wanted to bring attention, it's these situations have a way of escalating. What I mean by that, the cops and the DA do what they do now, then he comes back home, and then the next episode might be a little bit worse. You know what I'm saying? And then they say you got a history, and then when the cops interaction, we got another dead black or brown man. You know, we got another hashtag, fight for justice for this one, and we're trying to figure out how it happened. And when you go back and look, there were several opportunities to help, to intervene. There were things to do in prevention that the system dropped the ball. You know what I'm saying? But now everybody throw their hands up and be like, he was whatever he was, and they try to criminalize him. You know,
and one more thing I wanted to add: that same hospital that turned us away has turned me away several times before. And one time they turned me away. They called me and told me to come get him. I said, no, you're going to help my son. I'm not coming to get him. You're going to help him. We're talking about this hospital's a couple blocks from my house. So I went to go get my baby because I wasn't letting him stay there because they didn't want to help him. I had a DCP&P case by the time I got home for neglect and child abandonment because I wanted my child to get help. They called social services on me.
This is what we're dealing with, man.
Yeah.
This is what we're dealing with, and this
I
is
had
why.
I had a 6-month-long case with DCP&P, and even when they came out, the lady said, "Well, we're here because you abandoned and neglected and left your child at Newark Beth Israel." I said, this child right here? And she said, "Well, why are we here if he's here with you?" 6-month-long case I had for nothing. And first person they blame always is the parent. Well, why didn't you step in? Why didn't you intervene? I have a paper trail. My son's been to the neurodevelopmental specialist, the psychiatrist. I've had CMOs. We had ABA, occupational, you name it, he's been to it. And half of the time I go to the psychiatrist, tell her what's going on, leave messages. "Well, Miss Tatum, I don't just want to change his medicine." I said, "I'm not calling for help just to get a pill switch." They're quick to put a Band-Aid over the wound, but won't get to the core of the issue. And this is going to bring us right back in 30 days. But this is where we are now, because they're so used to a lot of parents not being able to deal with it and want to zombify their children. No, I want to help my baby. Take the Band-Aid off and get to the core of the issue.
Sandy Barnaby from the Anti-Racism Alliance, she says, once you get involved with one system, they all coordinate to get involved. It's horrible. But they don't coordinate. They don't coordinate to help. They don't coordinate to improve the situation.
They want to destroy and dismantle.
Right. And that's the problem. I mean, and for my elected officials and for my candidates, and a lot of y'all are going to be coming on the show over the next couple of months because we got a primary. We ask you these questions. You say these are issues that you wanna that you run on, and you make promises, and then you get in office, and then we don't hear from you no more, and nobody can get in touch with you. You know what I'm saying? We not accepting that no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we're gonna have to hold people's feet to the fire, and we're gonna keep making noise. Someone said, "What district is your son's case in Newark, New Jersey?" Well, you're not in Newark.
It's in the city.
It's in Manhattan.
It's in the city.
The Manhattan ADA office has it. Well, DA's office of Manhattan.
Someone else said they're waiting intentionally for him to be aged out of the system.
Absolutely.
So,
and another thing, they take you through this process because the average family is lower middle class. Who can afford a $50,000 criminal defense attorney? You appreciate legal aid and the public defenders, but they're not going to get you to the finish line. And they know that. And they want to put you in predicaments where you have to struggle, or you will just say, "You know what? I tried, and you know, if there's nothing else I can do." And I told the DA's office, my son will not be another Netflix or HBO special. I'm going to do any and everything in my power to get my baby help.
And you know what, too? Once he got like these charges, every time he has a mental health episode, they're gonna treat it as a crime, as opposed to as they escalate the charges.
He's branded.
Yeah, and they'll escalate the charges. Like, for example, I'm an activist. I keep getting in trouble, right? My first arrest, obstruction of justice. Second one, obstruction of justice and disorderly conduct. Third one, obstruction of justice, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest. Once they know you got them, they'll add. They'll keep adding.
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't want to know what the other ones were, but yeah. I mean, like, but
Sandy agrees. She said they're not to help. They just to get involved, just to justify their existence. And she said they get involved and meddle in order to develop a case for their case management records.
Yeah,
you know.
And they nitpick every little thing. At the meeting, one of the counselors said that my son said a curse, and the ADA, it's like he got high almost. He just was like,
God, come on.
You know, like he said a curse. Like, is that a sign of anger? Was it enraged? He's a 16-year-old kid that said a curse, but he was just like, oh well, you know, like that little thing. Just like he just got his rocks off. He was so happy to hear that there was a small little hiccup, but even the therapist and the clinician said, well, that's not a big deal. You know, we just write these things down to keep track of it. But it's like he was so happy and, like somebody gave him his first shot. He was just because he see that there's an issue.
And the other problem is they see our young teenage boys as these big hyper violent threats. Like they threat, because some of them are bigger in size and they see them as a threat. It's amazing that the person with the gun and the badge and the training sees these unarmed black people as threats and keep justifying this over and over to killing us, and nothing being done. Nothing gets done. Like nobody's going to jail.
And that's what I was afraid of, because if you see my son, he has facial hair, he got a goatee, mustache, he's 6'1", almost 6'2", 300 pounds. He's 16. He looks to be in his early 20s, but mentally, he's 6 or 7. A conversation we had when he first got back home, he said, "Mommy, do you think Santa Claus is going to come see me this year? Because he didn't come last year, because Santa Claus doesn't come see bad babies." That's the monster they're trying to portray my son to be, and he's 16 years old, concerned about if Santa Claus is coming to his house this year. But they said that rage is hatred, and rage is what made my son attack my mother. Not mental illness, rage.
So now let me ask you, what people could do to help. What do you hope as an outcome to all of this? What would you hope the outcome to all of this would be?
It's sad that it takes a tragedy to light a fire under a lot of people's asses, but there needs to be more recognition and more light shed on mental illness. Yeah. And my son needs help, and the help that I've been begging for, now he's getting. But why does it take for a tragedy to ensue to again light a fire under people? Because a lot of people think that mental illness is a cop-out or an excuse. It's a real thing. It's here and it's not going anywhere. But it needs to be helped and treated, not discarded and thrown by the wayside.
And that's the thing. We this is prevalent in our community and has been for years. It's been something that we struggle with. And it's funny, they keep defunding the programs. We talk about defunding the police. They keep defunding the programs to help them. Every time there's a budget cut, like Mount Vernon, we lost the probation office in Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon was the one place that needed more probation. So you're gonna violate people that have to go to Peekskill or White Plains. They wasn't going to 2nd Avenue walking, and they was getting violated. Now they got to jump on a bus to go, to White Plains somewhere. So like that's you're causing a problem. You took it from they're defunding all these programs. They say they can't afford them, and then they throw more money at the police and make money for institutionalizing.
But this is what they want. They want to take money from these essential programs that are needed, because New Jersey has the highest autism count in the nation. 1 in 34 are affected by autism, and more than half are Black and brown boys.
And so they don't know how to
be from these programs, but then build more bigger jails, because they rather lock you away and throw away the key than help you and nurture you to grow.
And they don't have the services. That's unbelievable. You gotta advocate to the elected officials, like AJ said earlier. You gotta let them know.
One of the things,
I got so many emails. It's not election year, so they don't care.
Right.
If it was election year, then it'd be booming.
My partner, Damon K. Jones, that I started Black Westchester with, he's 30 years in corrections in Valhalla, and he said it's a shame that they have more programs for the youth in Valhalla than they do in the municipalities like Mount Vernon and Yonkers on the outside. So there are all kinds of programs in there. It would make sense to spend some of that money to keep them from going there, but that's not what they want.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like they're not creating the program. The programs are there, but they're there when you get locked up, not before. So I hope that Lorraine, would you get ready to say something, Lorraine? Oh, I thought you. I'm sorry. So I hope
I'm
that.
just sad.
I'm kind of at a loss at certain points of this. I would like to continue to follow this case. I would like to continue to bring attention to this. Anything that you need from us to get the word out, let us know. You can get in touch with me through Talent. Talent has my contact information. Anything we can do to help, because we have to continue to shed light on these problems. You know, people in Mount Vernon always accuse me of making Mount Vernon look bad because I talk about the problems. You can't get the people that are causing the problems are not making it look bad, but I'm making it look bad. But you can't solve the problems by burying your head in the sand and just talk about the happy joy stuff. You gotta have these conversations. You have to bring these things to the light, and you have to continue and put pressure for things to happen, because they're not going to do it because it's the right thing to do. They've never given us anything because it was the right thing to do. It's because pressure was applied. The pressure was applied.
Exactly.
You can add me to the pressure that needs to be applied, and whatever we can do here to continue to help you and anyone else who's dealing with this. Because we were about to do
they can help each other. Yeah.
We were talking about doing a series of shows of mental health in the black and brown communities, because this is one of, you know, they say there's 8 million stories in the naked city. This is one of millions of stories that we're dealing with in our communities, and it's a shame. And you know, also, what is your son's name? What did you say your son's name too?
Rajeen Tatum. Rajeen.
Now, I like to do that as well, because they always talk about victim or suspect or mentally disturbed person. They never say the name. You know, we need to rehumanize your son, because they dehumanize him in the paperwork, and the mainstream press will dehumanize him. We need to rehumanize him. That's why I wanted you to say his name. Like I said, anything we can do. I don't know. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you want people to know?
Well, we also, his godmother set up a GoFundMe to help with like lawyer fees and things like that. I'll see if I don't know how to copy and paste, but I'll see if I can send it through Talent and he could send it. That would be greatly appreciated also.
Yeah, I will post that on the website. Pass it out.
I'll show you how to do it. I always say, you know, the old people with new technology is scary, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know how to copy or paste, but no, it's very simple. I'll definitely help you. I want to thank you guys for giving us this other platform, because once I tell people that I'm gonna be involved in something, I'm dead serious on it. So, you know, she'll be back on my show in the month of March to follow up on that next hearing and court date and see where this goes. And we'll continue to put it out there, because you never know when somebody's on the line that can do that extra thing that needs to be done. So you keep pounding the dead, you know, you beat that horse, man. And you never know that one time that one person's like, oh, I'm such and such, or I can such. Know that one thing that the rest of us may or may not know, is what I'm saying, and get it done. So I got to go. I just want to thank you, AJ. I want to thank you, Lorraine, and everything.
Yes, thank you, Mr. AJ and Miss Lorraine, for allowing me to share my son's story. I appreciate it very much.
Many blessings to you, your son, and your mom.
Thank you.
I just want to say before you go, please keep us informed, even if it's through Talent.
Absolutely.
And Talent, you can come back on and give us an update. And then, you know, we need to get you back on anyway, just to deal with other things as well, just to have you back on that. But thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And yo,
thank you very much.
We're gonna,
all right,
thank you.
So we got a lot. Wow, we got a lot in today. I saw this story, Lorraine. It was hard for me to even talk about. I saw their interview, the interview he did on Instagram. I couldn't even watch the whole interview, and it was no more than 10 or 12 minutes. And I got through about 4 or 5 minutes. And the first thing I did was I reached out to him. I was like, yo, I need to bring y'all, I need to help shed more light, you know, lend you my platform and shed more light on this. This is crazy. This is like they said, this is one of many stories. That unfortunately there
I
are
was
too
gonna say
many.
I've heard so many similar stories.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of similar stories.
So, any last words? Any comments about any of our guests? Anything that you want to uplift in your community that's going to happen coming up soon, or anything? Or
No, I want to bring Ray Wilcox back
absolutely.
because he's doing some phenomenal stuff, and we should give him a little bit more time. No, I just want to let people know. Listen, we gotta save ourselves. Call up, get that vaccination. We have a site here, Mount Vernon, Yonkers. We have a site here at the Armory. Please go into the New York State website or call the number and get get an appointment scheduled, because once it opens up on Wednesday, people from all over is going to be coming, and you're going to regret it. I'm telling you.
Keep talking. Don't go away. Keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Okay.
Keep talking.
So no. Seriously, once it opens up, it's a New York State site, so it's not just Westchester. It's not a Westchester County site, but probably just going to be Westchester. But that's a lot of folks. So if you don't get in, you don't call, you don't make that appointment, when you're ready and you call, it's going to be months down the road. And best thing is get it done quick. I had it, I got my first shot a couple of days ago, not through New York State. I got it through my doctor, and it's not that big a deal. Okay. Well, yeah, my arm hurt really, really, really bad for that first day. Like, I couldn't even move it. I couldn't even.
Right. That's what I want to tell.
Well, that's the truth. That's the truth. But I don't take Advils, or I don't take pain medication, but I did have a sleeping pill. So I took the sleeping pill to put me to sleep, so I didn't have to feel the pain that night. And I woke up fine.
So when do you, now there's a certain amount of time, when do you have to take your second one? When do you?
The 24th.
Oh, okay.
30 days. I got the Moderna, 30 days.
Oh, okay. Who do we have? Now, if everybody's tuning in and everybody who watches later, so we're doing a series of shows on Tuesdays called Super Tuesdays, where we interview a lot of the candidates that are running for office in Westchester and the surrounding areas. I know next week's show, next Sunday, we have Yanka's Council President Mike Cater is one of our guests on next week. He will be here. He's running for office. He's running for re-election. He will be on next Sunday. But on Tuesday, do you have the list of the people that are coming on Tuesday on your calendar?
Tuesday the 2nd, we had James Nolan.
Okay, Tuesday
James
the 2nd.
Nolan, who's running against Ruth Walter for county legislator.
Okay. So tune in Tuesday to see a Super Tuesday interview with James Nolan. Also tune in tomorrow to WVOX, to the Black Westchester Power Hour. We will be talking to one or two of the developers of the development team that's trying to bring the Library Square project to Mount Vernon. Again, they're having a public forum Friday, which will be virtual. Be an opportunity for you to see what it's about for yourself and ask all the questions that you can ask, and to follow them and to stay up on what's going on. You can go to their Facebook page, is at Library Square SQ, the Square, at Library SQ. Like that page and follow it. And also the developers are on there as well. So if you have questions, you can actually ask them on the Facebook page. And some of your questions or concerns, maybe you have concerns about the project, you can ask directly to, instead of going by what, there's a lot of misinformation that goes around. There's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of things. It's political. Some people are behind it and not behind it because their opponent is behind it. So now they're against it. So, find out, do your due diligence, find out for yourself, follow the page, and then make up your own mind for yourself, but you'll be more informed. Again, go to Library Square on Facebook, Library SQ. I'm sure they have a flyer about the event, and they'll have other information. And again, you can see some. I'll be asking them questions tomorrow on the Black Westchester Power Hour. I said Mike Cater is next Sunday. This is something else coming up. I forgot. I'm getting ready to start working on the March 15th issue, which will be out Friday, March 12th. It'll be called the Women issue. I know March is considered Women's History Month, but we're going to be celebrating as many women in the county as possible. We're calling it the Women's Month issue. If you know somebody in Westchester that deserves to be spotlighted, make sure you hit us. Hit us either on Facebook or hit us at blackwestchester@gmail.com. Tell us who you would like to see us spotlight, and why.
Unsung heroes. So I picked 5 unsung heroes for mine.
Yes, and she has great. She had a great set of. I'm very pleased with the people that you picked. But we're going to try to honor as many. We're going to talk about some of the women who have made history, and then we're going to be talking about some of the women that are history in the making, and we're going to be talking about some of the future history makers. So we're going to celebrate. We're celebrating women. Again, like Black history is too vast to celebrate, just to only be celebrated in the month of February, but that's the official month. The accomplishment of women is too vast to only be celebrated in one month. But while that is the official month, we are going to try to cram as many of them in this issue and celebrate them as well. So if you want to advertise in the issue, even if it's take a congratulatory ad or take a ad, congratulating a woman in the community, hit us at blackwestchester@gmail.com. You have till Friday. Anything else, Lorraine? Not, we out of here. No, you said no? Okay. Well, moving right along. Hold on. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. We want to thank all of our guests. You could be doing anything right now, but you decided to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate this. Appreciate it. This is Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show. We're on every Sunday, 6 to 8, streaming to you live from Facebook and Instagram. Follow us on Instagram at Black Westchester. YouTube and Facebook. I just said Instagram. Follow us, but follow us on Instagram at Black Westchester. Follow us and PBP Radio. Follow us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. With that said,
and don't forget Latino empowerment. Yes.
Also, everybody who can hear my voice, go to Facebook right now and click like on Lorraine's Latino empowerment page and follow that as well. And make sure you check out her column, which will be 2 pages this month in the March issue. With that said,
at 3, I'll try.
Yeah. Well, you just gotta give me the content.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
With that said, we're out. Peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism, We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
You are now tuned into the People Before Politics radio show, brought to you by the good folks at
Black Westchester, Black Westchester, Black Westchester, Black Westchester. Check the newspaper. Black Westchester, Black Westchester, Black Westchester. Check the newspaper.
Real talk for the community since 2014.